The Utah Utes disappointed tonight in some ways, but at the end of the day, they're still 3-0, and that's all that matters. How were they able to do it, and what does this team still need to improve on? We're breaking it all down on today's Locked On Utes.
You are Locked On Utes, your daily podcast on the Utah Utes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. If it's your first time listening to the show, make sure you like and subscribe. My name is JT Wistrcill, and we're here to react live to the Utah Utes' third win of the year. It was not the most impressive win, but it was a win over Wyoming. David Swenson sent in a question that said it best. Also, for those of you guys just jumping in and joining in, want to talk with you guys about this game, your thoughts, your feelings. So make sure you send your questions in, and we'll be reacting and taking those live. David Swenson, you said it best. A win is a win, because that's how this one feels, right? I mean, Utah, I'm sure any of you who did not get to watch this game live, you would look at your phone and be like, wait, how in the world is Utah only up 3-0 at halftime? I think that's something we were all kind of just saying to ourselves. We're sitting here, even those of us watching, right? We're like, how in the world is this happening? And the answer is penalties, as Skulls just sent in. That's a great point, penalties. But also just lack of execution in special teams, right? You get a block kick, you get missed kicks. I don't know about you guys. As soon as the broadcast crew called Dylan Curtis Legzilla, whatever. What's the nickname again? Legzilla, something like that. As soon as they said that was his nickname, which, yes, I've heard people say that before, but I was just like, oh no, it's not a good sign. And sure enough, the true freshman would go on to go 1 for 4 in the first half. But he shouldn't have had to kick 4 field goals, because this Utah offense just failed to capitalize. And this Utah team, honestly, for a lot of this game was way too sloppy. They had 7 penalties for 68 yards, a lot of those in key spots. I'm talking about guys like Spencer Fano had some, and a lot of the offensive holdings throughout the game too. So just a disappointing first half for this Utah team, right? I mean, this is a team that one game before Texas Tech, I think we wanted the execution on offense to be amazing. I shouldn't say fully disappointing, right? Because the defense was tremendous, but it was a disappointing offensive first half because you weren't able to turn a lot of those long drives into touchdowns. But I will say that's why I'm not like fully panicking about the state of this Utah offense. I mean, number one, Utah still put up over 30 points again, and Utah moved the ball like crazy. A lot of the things that happened today to me are very correctable. And you know why else they're correctable? Because if I know Kyle Whittingham, even the softer Kyle Whittingham, as he calls himself, he is going to let this team have it in practice this week a little bit. I honestly think in some ways this could be a very good thing that happened to the Utah Utes tonight, because I think sometimes you need to not play. If you don't play your best game and win, yes, sometimes you can get complacent with the mistakes you made, but also at the same time, it can be like, okay, we won and we know we need to fix. We need to hone in on and improve those things and grow and get better. And that's what this Utah team is going to continue to do. Another overall really strong day for Devin Dampier. Yes, still had 12 incompletions, right? Or more than that, 27 for 41, but still 231 yards. 2 touchdowns. He had 86 yards rushing. Wayshawn Parker ended up getting 80 yards rushing. Naquari Rogers, I still just think it's so interesting. Like, Wayshawn Parker averaged 8 yards per carry. I know that Naquari Rogers is good. I would lean Wayshawn Parker as the lead back for this team. Right now, Utah's leading receiver, speaking of leads, is Ryan Davis. 10 catches for 91 yards for Ryan Davis. Him and Devin Dampier's chemistry carrying over is great. You know, Dampier's still trying to grow the chemistry. The guy like Tobias Merriweather only is able to bring in 1 catch for 15 yards tonight. A couple of deep plays that Utah just missed out on with Merriweather. Larry Simmons had the wild touchdown that Dampier dropped and then picked up and rifled in the end zone. That was spectacular. But and this Utah defense, right, was just, I mean, unreal on an absolute another level. Just so impressed with what this Utah defense was able to do this evening. Wyoming could not do anything. And this Utah team has just been tremendous in large part because of how good that defense has been too. Also want to remind you, those of you just jumping in, make sure you guys send your questions in below. We'll be taking those live as we go on here. Doc McThuggin said, big ups, JT. Appreciate that, Doc. Someone else said, PNW said, Swenson and Swen is a Swen. I have no idea what that all means, but yes, sir. Mar Moore said, tough win, but a win is a win. With the second half, we look pretty good. We need to play better for our Big 12 home opener against Texas Tech. We do. But you know what I also was reminded of today about I think it's good Utah felt some adversity today. You know who hasn't had any adversity yet on the season? Texas Tech. Is that in part because they're pretty good? Sure. Also because they haven't played anyone. They haven't gone on the road once this season, too, by the way. Your first road game with a team that has a lot of transfers in it, being the ruckus environment of Rice-Eccles Stadium, the altitude that you have in Utah as well, I do not think that bodes well for Texas Tech at all. And Texas Tech is a very good team. They could still come in there, absolutely beat Utah. But I feel very good about Utah next week, in part because Texas Tech hasn't played a road game. I just think you want to get your feet tested in the fire a little bit, like Utah did tonight, right? Against Wyoming. And man, did this defense travel for Utah, because the offense didn't always. We talked about the lack of moving the chains at times too, and just some of the decisions, right? Like when Utah's first drive, when they set it for a field goal, Devin Dampier is trying to fit a tight pass into JJ, or not a tight pass, but a tough pass while he's on the move, trying to hook up with JJ Buchanan. And he shouldn't have thrown it. He should have just ran it. He would have easily had the first down. But just things like that, learning and growing of like, okay, this is what you got to do in this spot. There were times like an Aquari Rogers would miss the hole. There's just these little things that Utah needs to continue to clean up on and tune up on. And I think they will do that, right? I think the offensive line they played well today, obviously. Utah ran the ball crazy well, but they need to do a better job of preventing the penalties. And that is going to be something that is tough to do against a by far the best defensive lineman they will play next week when they take on Texas Tech. But it was good for this group to have some of these penalties and just see the things they need to continue to work on and improve on. You don't watch this film if you're Utah and go, yep, we're all good. No, you are coaching these guys up, because there's a lot that Utah needs to do. And I do think that's a big thing, because I think Texas Tech, in some ways, they don't even know what they all need to work on, because they haven't played an opponent worth anything yet. Scholes, as you said, penalties were massive. They were. I mean, just some of the stuff with the offensive line, holding being the biggest one. The defense played well, but the offense, the holding, and some of the things there was just disappointing to see from this team. They got to continue to execute better, and I think that's something that's really going to be prioritized this week. Utah cannot play as they did in the first half tonight and beat Texas Tech, even though they're home next week. That just can't happen at all. King Kong swatted away some Legzilla's field goals. It is Legzilla. That was what it is. They did. That one guy had the big, you're talking about their defensive end tackle, I know, right? He had he did a good job batting one down too. So that was impressive by him. One of their big defensive linemen did a good job there. Marmore said 3-0 is better than 0-3. Yes, but the penalties, holding drove me insane. But Dampier threw it when thought it would be a loss of yards for that touchdown, was amazing in his running. Dampier continues to amaze, right? I'm also just encouraged by the guys that Utah has that continue to step up and impress, right? J.G. Buchanan with his catch getting into the end zone, right? That was something that was awesome to see for this team. He only had the one catch for 14 yards, but Utah looked to him a few times. Dallin Bentley continues to be a legit guy for this team. He had 4 catches, 46 yards. Hunter Andrews got some more opportunities in this game, right? I love that Utah is just continuing to use their different guys. Even a Nate Johnson, I know he fumbled, but I just still wouldn't give up on Nate Johnson. He's such a talented player, and I know he's had fumbling issues a couple times now, but I'm a big fan of what he's able to do. So he's someone that I would definitely continue to let go and continue to do his thing, right? Doc McThuggin said that play where Dampier fumbled, then tossed an absolute heater to Simmons got me fired up. I think it got it all fired up, right? I mean, I don't know about you guys. I was like, no, yes. Like that's, I think, how we all reacted, because it was absolutely crazy to see. And that's what Devin Dampier is capable of, right? I don't know how many quarterbacks in the country can do that, what Devin Dampier did. And I'm not even this isn't me trying to fuel the Heisman campaign. This is me just saying Devin Dampier's, he's just so shifty. He's almost like a jitterbug a little bit, right? Like he is able to get it. And even when things go wrong, he can just make something happen so fast because he does have a decently quick release in times like that too. And good route by Larry Simmons. And he was able to get it there, which was awesome. But Scholes said defense was still great. The Utah defense is fantastic. John Henry Daly is one of the best pass rushers in college football right now. Yes, he needs to do it against an elite offensive line, but my goodness, was he absolutely tremendous. Elijah Davis led Utah with 6 tackles. Don't love that from a corner, but hey, Nate Ritchie had 5 tackles. Jonathan Hall with 4 too. But JHD with those 2 sacks. And, he's still getting guys like a Logan Fano, I think, still working his way back from whatever injuries got him beat up a little bit. You got Cash Dillon still growing. Paul Fitzgerald, Lance Holtzclaw. This Utah defensive ends continuing to come along. There was nowhere for Wyoming to run tonight. Wyoming, they ended up with 121 rushing yards, but I mean, there was not a lot there for a lot, right? The Cowboys offense was very inconsistent. Utah gained like Wyoming by like almost 200 something in the first half, wasn't it? So this Utah defense was tremendous. They were flying all over the football. Great to see Jackson Benny get another interception tonight. This defense so physical, the havoc, the chaos. There was nowhere to run. The defense was absolutely tremendous. John Bunting said defense needs to keep being elite. I think they will. You also said, John Bunting, penalties, bad fumbles, and our offense was atrocious in the red zone this game. Finally executed second half, but this is the case versus Texas Tech. Then it's going to be ugly. I mean, yeah, maybe, but if the Utah defense plays as they would, then maybe it'll just be an ugly, low-scoring game, right? Because Tech's got some really talented players on the outside, but Utah's got really talented corners. I think John Henry Daly is really good, and hopefully Logan Fano and some of the other guys that Utah got continue to bring them along, get them healthy, and Morgan Scalley Blitz is in there too, right? I think that Utah could continue to make some things happen, right? John Bunting said Wayshawn needs to be more involved. He does. He does. Simple as that. Dampier doesn't need to be a hero, get our running backs in the game. I mean, he kind of had to be a hero at times tonight, right? Like with how much our offense struggled, Dampier kind of did need to put the Superman cape on at times because I shouldn't say offense struggled because they had a ton of yards. With how much our offense struggled to finish drives, which is the biggest thing that's frustrating. That's why in the post-game interview, Kyle Whittingham was asked, like, what changed at halftime? It's like nothing really changed. We just started to execute. Like we kept moving the ball down the field, and then all of a sudden, like two things would go wrong. Like Wyoming would shoot a gap one time, and then be third down, and it'd be a missed throw from Dampier or something like that. And it's just like, boop, that's it. And then long field goals that didn't work out today. I shouldn't even say long. Those were from 40 yards. That's where, sometimes it's tough on the road. It's really hard relying on a true freshman kicker. That's where Utah has put a lot on Dylan Curtis, having him be the guy this season. I think he's capable of stepping up and being that guy. But I'm just also saying, like, they put a lot on him, making him be that guy that is the kicker in each of these moments coming up. So I do think Dampier is going to continue to need to put on the cape, but hey, he is more than capable of it too. As we mentioned, another outstanding game for him. He averaged 6 yards a carry, 13 carries for 86 yards, and 230 yards passing too, getting a lot of the different guys involved. His chemistry with Ryan Davis right now is really good still. That's something that's been awesome. Scholes said, hoping Rabbit is doing well and recovers soon. I hope so too, man. I've been so excited to see the year that Rabbit was going to have, and injured the first couple of games. You don't even see him, and then gets in today and gets hurt early on. You just hate to see it for a guy like Rabbit, who I think we all felt like with how last season ended that this was going to be his year. He was like my number one breakout candidate for this Utah team. Thought the safety tandem of him and Teo Johnson was going to be one of the best in college football. And I don't know if we're going to get to see the full version of that. I've been trying to keep an eye on the press conferences, so y'all can let me know here as well if something did come out about, hey, like how severe is that season-ending injury, but just such a deflating and crushing injury to see a guy who works as hard and continues to just put in the time, energy, and effort like Rabbit did too. It is okay. Here we go. So Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com said it doesn't look good. It's a lower leg injury, likely be season-ending. He just can't catch a break. We'll look at his red shirt situation and see what we can do for him. Oh, that's awful. I hate that. Oh, I just hate that for the person more than anything. It's a blow to Utah, obviously, but just more so for the person. Rabbit was going to have the type of season to me, and hopefully he can redshirt, come back next year and do it. But the type of year that I think would have gotten him drafted in the NFL, and obviously that's life-changing money. And that's where I hurt for Rabbit not having the opportunity to go out there and make plays on a strong Utah team, a guy who's put in so much time, energy, and effort to his craft to not be able to go out there. I just hate that for him. So my thoughts and prayers go out to Rabbit Evans. Hopefully it's not season ending, but Kyle said it's likely. So we'll just have to wait and see there. Peters made a great point talking about the offense tonight. He said, guys, we only punted once. That's a great point. Like Utah only had to punt one time, and it was when they got pinned pretty deep back in their own territory. I think that was the one drive where they got one first down, and then they stalled after that. Like this Utah team, like, yes, does Utah have things they need to clean up on? Absolutely. What team doesn't in college football? As we just talked about, like Texas Tech has not played a soul that matters. And I'm not saying Utah's played amazing teams either, but at least Utah has gone on the road to a P4 team. I know UCLA lost. We can talk about that all later in the week, but it's on the road P4 team. Like that's still something. And credit New Mexico for going in there and whooping on UCLA like we did. But Utah still having to go up on the road to Laramie. It's not the easiest place in the world to play. And that Cowboys defense is still pretty good. Their offense is what we knew wasn't great, but the defense is still good. Man, Utah made their quarterback Caden Anderson at a night too, right? Only 108 passing yards. He averaged 4 yards per throw, and INT was 12 for 23. Wyoming could get nothing going through the air. How are we going to look playing an early game? That's a good point, George Manu. I mean, that's part of it, but honestly, I don't know, guys. I just watch these teams. I watch these players in college football. We'll see. Maybe Utah comes out flat, slow, and maybe it is the early kickoff. I think these guys are going to be so amped up for game day, game week. They're going to be up early. I bet they go to bed early Friday night. And that would be actually the only problem is, can these guys sleep? Because they're going to be so fired up. Big noon kickoff, Fox against Texas Tech. Like, this is the first time. I don't know about y'all, and I love that Utah's 3-0. And Utah tried to play a legit team in UCLA, but the problem is they played what looks like right now one of the 3 worst P4 teams in the country. But here's what I was going to say. I'm so excited we get real football coming back up. This has been real football. But I'm talking about the thrill and the great game atmosphere that we're about to get next week of just like Utah. Sports are fun because we don't know the outcome. I felt very good about Utah winning all 3 of their first games this season, even UCLA. And that one was still up in the air, right? But we only got a taste of that feeling against UCLA. We knew Utah would take care of business in these 2 games. I am so fired up that we get to see Utah against a P4 team and a contender for not just the Big 12, but thus the CFP when you win the Big 12. I think Texas Tech's really good. I like Morton. I think they have some nice pieces on the O-line. The skill position talent's tremendous, and the defense is still gelling and coming together, but that D-line is arguably one of the best in the Big 12. The Tech D-line, Utah O-line, one of the best draft matchups for like NFL scouts. It's going to be tremendous, right? So I just think this Utah team is going to be fired up and ready to go. I don't think they'll get off to a slow start. We'll wait and see because it is 10 a.m., but I don't know. I think they're going to be up early, and I think they're going to be jacked up, amped up, and they're going to play well because they got to be fired up to have an opportunity to finally continue working towards their goals, right? This is a Utah team. What do they want to do? Make the college football playoff? The way you do that is you got to win a Big 12 title. And maybe you just get in by being a 1 or 2 loss team, right? But this Utah team, I think it's going to be very fired up and focused and ready to go. I don't think that they'll be sleepwalking next Saturday. Peter said, we just didn't capitalize in the first half, but we manhandled them the whole game. I mean, you really did, right? I mean, this Utah offensive line is just tremendous. Utah had 4 guys with multiple carries, all 6 or more, that averaged 10 or more. Utah had 3 guys, that averaged 6 or more yards per carry. Devin Dampier, Wayshawn Parker, and Hunter Andrews as well. And Naquai Rogers got a lot, and he even averaged 4.6, right? Like, that is remarkable. What Wayshawn Parker, I just can't fathom why he only got 10 carries tonight. Like, maybe they're resting and saving him up. I don't know. I just think he's special. He had over 100 total yards last week. And yeah, I like Naquai Rogers. He's a really good back, but he is Robin. No, Wayshawn Parker is Batman in the backfield. We know Devin Dampier is Spider-Man. So Wayshawn Parker is Batman. Like, let him cook. I want to see more Wayshawn Parker. If that wasn't clear, I know. I'm trying not to repeat myself. John Bunting said, just continue to say, hey, we got to capitalize on the scoring, the opportunities. We do. Utah's red zone offensive execution has to be better. But I think it will be. I just trust Jason Beck. I trust this group to continue to grow and improve. Utah's throwing game is continuing to get better, right? Dallin Bentley is growing as a pass catcher. Larry Simmons, Tobias Merriweather have made some plays, needing to be more consistent, but they made some plays. Ryan Davis is your guy that Devin Dampier is going to rely on and turn to. And it is still hard to stop this Utah rushing attack when they bring in that extra offensive lineman as a fullback. So Utah before tonight was like perfect in the red zone, didn't they say? So a lapse tonight a couple times. Yeah, it was against the best defense you played, but things to clean up on, tune up on. The Utah offense with Dampier, Parker, they have too much talent for me to believe that this is just who they are now, and they're not going to be able to consistently sustain and score drives overall. PNW Ute said Daly has been doing it weekly. I mean, he's been remarkable. The spin move sack he had on the inside, that's NFL stuff. Jonah Ellis was the last guy I saw execute a spin move to that level at Utah, and John Henry Daly is just an absolute pass rush tactician, if that's even a word, but just like the way he uses technician, the way he uses his hands, the forced fumble he got out there as well. He is one of the best pass rushers in the Big 12. I believe he's one of the best pass rushers in college football right now. When you're talking about the size, the strength, the bevy of pass rush moves he can throw at you too. I'm blown away by what JHD has done so far this year. The mayor of Sac Lake City, as I appreciate the sideline reporter at the end of the game, even brought up mayor of Salt Lake City, which I thought that was awesome. Doc McThuggin said Daly might go first round if he keeps this up. If he can keep up this, like 5 sacks through his first 3 games, he absolutely will. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to keep that up because he's going to also play some better offensive lines and teams are going to start game planning for him, but he's going to have a chance to still be a decently high pick. I think I don't know how athletic he is NFL wise, but I could totally see him being similar range that Jonah Ellis was. And I do think he's going to get double-digit sacks this year, right? Like 5 more over Utah's last 9 games for double figures for Henry Daly. That's happening. He's been too good not to. Peter said once, like Wyoming punted every possession, but once, yeah, they did, because this Utah defense was absolutely remarkable in this game, right? Wyoming was 3 for 12 on third down, which I think it was like UCLA was not long ago too. Utah ran nearly 30 more plays, 86 to 57. The difference in total plays ran. Utah had 541 yards. And that's where, once again, I know we're concerned about the red zone a little bit. They need to clean that up. They've been good overall. They struggled a bit today, got some things to grow on, improve on. Dampier's athleticism is such a dual threat for this team. 2 strong backs, a solid group of pass catchers. This offensive line, I think this team will figure out their red zone woes tonight and improve those for next week. So 541 yards to 229. The only score Wyoming had was late. Utah almost had the road shutout, which would have been fun if they could have too. But yeah, John Henry Daly's been tremendous, and the Utah defense was tremendous tonight too. So many guys flying around making plays. Jonah Laie had a lot of tackles because they just simply couldn't move him, because he's been really good so far this season. PNW Utes said, amazing how things got better without committing penalties in the second half. Isn't that funny how football works? You don't beat yourself and then you start to succeed and do better, right? Like, that's where this Utah team, they have to be more disciplined. They have to, it's hard. Like, not getting a holding call is not easy, right? Like, you're wrestling. If you're one offensive lineman, it's basically like 2 bears fighting. You just got to, like, how in the world can you move this guy in a legal manner, in terms of the game, right? Like, how do you get your pads inside, get that push on him when he's fighting his full will and strength against you? It's easier said than done. So that's where Utah did a good job cutting down the penalties, and that will be a priority all week long too. We're going to need all DB hands on deck. Texas Tech at 300-yard receivers, albeit against lesser competition. Yeah, Oregon State to me is better than Wyoming, but I will say, like, the Wyoming defense might be the best unit that, if you combine Wyoming offense, Oregon State defense, all, like, Wyoming's defense might be the best unit of all those units. Really have not been impressed with the Beavers so far this year. It's a rough go. Their coach got in some trouble recently for saying some stuff post-game because he was frustrated at special teams unit. Like, it's not a very good Oregon State team. I still think Utah's win on the road at UCLA is still the most impressive win that any of these teams have. I know how bad UCLA has been. Maybe it's the win up in Laramie. I don't know. Like, it just, to me, I could even argue maybe Utah has 2 more impressive wins than any Texas Tech has. But that's a debate. Logan Scow said the Wyoming defense did really surprise me. They did just make some nice plays. Like, there was one time where they sent a blitz in and it just was well timed and it blew up Naquari Rogers in the backfield. The fact that Utah had so much troubles getting in the first rushing score with Naquari Rogers, their D-line, those linebackers, it's Wyoming football. It's physical, and they were right there and they were ready. This Wyoming team, Cowboys, always have a good defense, and they did tonight. And it was a really impressive job by Wyoming just to do everything they could to make a couple plays, right? Some of that was self-inflicted by Utah, but there was pressure at times. There was blown-up run plays at times. Wyoming battled hard. Utah was more talented. It's why Utah had over 500 yards on offense. But Wyoming was able to win some plays, and that's a huge credit to them. And this is a Utah team that's going to win a lot of games. So that shows you, to me, how good this Wyoming defense is. Scholes says, thoughts on UCLA now being 0-3. Look, UCLA is not a good team. But you know what you're supposed to do to not very good teams? Blow them out. Utah did that. They went up in their house. They blew out a P4 team. I'm not going to sit here and act like Utah's not good because they went up and blew out a team on the road. It'd be different if Utah squeaked past UCLA. We'd be concerned, right? That game, week 1, with all the transfers and everything that both teams had in there still, and not even exactly knowing, right, like what UCLA was going to try to do and be, because they new offensive coordinator, so you're going to change some things up a little bit. Utah still held them to 10 points and scored over 40. So, yeah, UCLA is not great, but Utah went in their house and bullied them. That's why I'm not really concerned about that UCLA is not 0-3. It's not causing me to overthink, like, okay, is Utah not good? It's the same thing tonight. Like, oh, man, Utah only scored 3 points against Wyoming. But what happened? Their kicker missed 2 kicks. He had another blocked. And a Utah offense that had a ton of penalties that really hurt them. They were undisciplined. They were on the road. It's Laramie. It's a tough place to play. I'm not overly concerned with what I saw. I think a lot of the issues were correctable. The penalties, the timing, those things are correctable. I'm not saying that Utah's going to blow out Texas Tech next week, but I feel like Utah is absolutely ready for their top 20 matchup with the Red Raiders. I'm uneducated. Doc McThuggin said, who did Texas Tech play? For those of you who don't know, they did play Oregon State earlier. Make sure you guys send in any comments and questions you guys have, as well as we're still talking about this one. It'll be interesting to see where the Vegas line is for next week. Yes, it will be. Yes, it is too. A couple of you guys mentioned that too. Do you reckon they will be playing more disciplined on penalties against a real team? I feel like this Utah team is just going to, because they had a bad game today, they're going to bounce back, right? Like, by that logic, Like, do you think they're going to be better? Like, when you say, hey, are they going to be able to lessen those mistakes against a better team? I think they will, because it's going to be more on their mind of improving and cleaning that up. Same as Devin Dampier has yet to throw an interception this year. He had 12 last year. He's done a much better job taking care of the ball because he made those mistakes. He learned from them. I think Utah's defense and offense, more so the offense with the holdings, will do that tonight, right? West Virginia could surprisingly be a tough game after Tech 2. Long flight cross country coming off after the game against Tech. It absolutely could be a tough game. That was a big win for West Virginia today. Backyard brawl, rivalry game, anything can happen. I still think Utah's clearly better than Texas Tech, Texas Tech, I think they're better. I don't think clearly better. I think Utah's clearly better than West Virginia. I think Utah's offensive line is the difference in that game. West Virginia's offensive line has not been performing very well either. I think West Virginia's quarterback situation is, for a Utah defense like Morgan Scalley, I think Utah's going to cook there. I feel good about Utah against West Virginia right now, but all eyes are on Wyoming. And so far that Big Noon is going to be there today, right? I feel like pressure would just make our discipline as a team go down rather than be better. I could be wrong. I think Utah, the pressure will come from just Kyle Whittingham and the coaches staying on these guys, making sure they're locked in this weekend, improving on what they need to improve on. Drew B said the refs were tripping today. There were some tough holding calls as well. I thought there were some tough holding calls. We'll see next week, but there was a lot of whistles and there were some tough calls in there. Absolutely agree. New Mexico called after today. They are less impressed with Utah's win over UCLA in game 1. Well, obviously it's yes, with what New Mexico did. Like I mentioned this earlier, I think UCLA right now is probably one of the 3 worst P4 teams in college football. Maybe they're a little better than that. They're easily one of the 5 worst. I think they'll get a little better, but that was an embarrassing loss to New Mexico. I think Deshaun Foster is right now trending towards not being their coach when UCLA comes out to Rice-Eccles Stadium next year. We'll see if Nico's going to be their QB. He might try to transfer. It's bad for the Bruins right now. It is really bad. But once again, bad team. What do? You blow them out 43-10. That's what Utah did. So that's why I'm not really concerned about that. Whittingham said that John Henry Daly is the second coming of Hunter Dimmick. That's high praise. Yeah, I mean, that is high praise. And Daly has been on a mission out there. He is a heat-seeking missile as a pass rusher, and I love what he's been able to do, right? Someone said, I'd be surprised if Tech isn't favored next week. So to me, there's no way with what Utah showed so far, I would make a road team like Texas Tech, a good road team, but a road favorite in Salt Lake City. I know how bad Utah was at home last year, but that was more so just Utah was just bad because they have the quarterback play. There's no way I'm not making Utah the favorite if I'm Vegas. Too many teams have come into Rice-Eccles Stadium and fallen. With the way this offense has looked, remember, this is a Utah team. They've outscored their opponents 130-something to 30 or whatever it is. It's remarkable. Utah is just steamrolling teams. They have put up 30 or more points in all 3 of their games. They had 30 this game, over 30 this game. They had over 40 last game or in the first game. Then they had over 60 against Cal Poly. This Utah offense has looked impressive, and the defense put up their best performance of the year too, right? So that was fun to watch too. PNW said after fumbling, Nate Johnson was grounded to the bench. Kudos to Whit Beck in enforcing excellence. Nate should know better. You could tell right away as soon as he fumbled how frustrated Nate was, though. That's the only thing I'll say. I don't want Utah to give up with Nate Johnson. His explosiveness, his speed, his talent. I still want to see him get the ball. Unfortunately, he couldn't hold on to that one there, but he's so fast. Utah's got to allow that guy who made Florida DBs and Florida's defense a couple years ago look silly. Still got to let him go in there and make stuff happen. John Bunting again said we could also see it as we exposed UCLA, showed teams how they could beat them, but they also completely looked broken. That locker room lost, so they crumbled after losing to us. Both things are true. I think Utah provided a blueprint, and I also think UCLA's crumbled. They're not very good right now. That is without a doubt what's going on. We only got a few more questions left. Before we dive into those questions, let's real quick just roll through some of the post-game comments that were a little bit when asked about Dallin Bentley. This comes to us from Steve Bartle. All these quotes are going to Kyle Whittingham said the light switch finally came on in spring ball, and he's finally been able to be healthy. That's his big issue. He's a valuable weapon catching and blocking. Dallin Bentley's been tremendous. He's one of the best tight ends in the Big 12, and I thought Utah's top tight end was going to be Otto Tia this season. So a massive credit to what he's been able to do. Love what Dallin Bentley's put on tape. The blocking, the pass catching prowess. He's been one of this teams. He might be the most improved player that Utah has too. It's been incredible. Wit on freshman kicker Dylan Curtis. He'll be back. He's just a freshman. He'll get right mentally and hopefully will make big kicks for us down the road. I'm very curious to see how he trusts him, though. I will say that. That's not what Kyle Whittingham said. That's what he said. I'm curious to see If it's 4th and short, is Utah giving it to Dylan Curtis? He'll probably be better at home than on the road, but are the moments going to be, that's a lot of emotions. True freshman kicker, big noon kickoff, the world watching, go make this kick, true freshman. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I'm curious to see how Utah manages that. I think Utah is going to be even more aggressive on 4th down and short next week because of some of those issues, right? Kyle Whittingham said finish drives was the message of the team at halftime. That was the whole issue, was not finishing drives. He had over 250 yards of offense in the first half, and he only lead by 3. Yeah, the issue is not finishing drives. I absolutely agree with that. And this Utah team has to continue to work on just preaching, finishing through, and I think they will next week. He also said way too many penalties. We've got to do a much better job with that. 1,000%. We talked about that as well, too. Utah was way too sloppy there. Witt was, though, much more pleased with the second half offense, right? 4 drives, 4 touchdowns. That was the difference. Defense was good the entire game. Little soft at the end, 2 takeaways, and almost scored on the Benny pick. How about, the Utah defense was remarkable. But how about, like, Dampier coming up with the Larry Simmons fine and then the J.J. Buchanan fine, too? Just love those big pass plays where Devin Dampier showed us that he can come through when Utah needs it, which was big. Witt also said kind of weird game. We had similar total O in the first and second half, but just didn't finish the drives. Have a lot of respect for that Wyoming team. They're well coached and gave us everything they had. And they did. And they did. They did. And that Wyoming team battled hard, and Utah was still able to take it to them. And 34-6 is mighty impressive still on the road against a G5 team. Reminder, USF beat not just Florida, but they also beat Boise. Boise is a G5 team, but you know what I mean. But they teams follow the G5 teams, especially on the road. Utah has had some struggles, but I think they'll learn from them. They'll grow from them. I just think it's good that this Utah team is not. Would it be some ways good if they were rolling? Sure, but at the same time, I just know how hard this team's going to practice this week. They're not going to be complacent. They're not going to be reading the press clippings about how amazing they are. They're going to be like, wow, we can be so much better, and we need to be so much better to beat Tech. Versus so many of Tech's things they need to work on, they don't know because they haven't played anyone worth a dang yet. So that's just something to keep in mind too. Dampier said he felt like some of the penalties were a little iffy, which I said the same thing on some of the holds and stuff. He said that it is motivating to have a defense like Utah's make plays to get them the ball back, but they just didn't capitalize like they wanted to. Dampier also said, how true is that, by the way? Having a defense gives you more confidence. And just you're like, okay, I know that I don't need to score every single time because my defense has got my back. You know, his defense didn't have his back last year's Devin Dampier's at New Mexico. Because you know what? That is funny. Someone just commented we need Cam Rising back. No, we're okay. I love Cam. We're okay. We're okay. Love you, Cam. Wish you were healthy those last couple of years, but we're okay. That's just, I did not expect that to get sent. This is what I love about doing these live. I never know the random comments that people are going to say that we're going to get. But going back to what we were talking about, Devin Dampier last year against Wyoming, he had over 400 yards, I want to say, total offense and lost. Even though he put up 45 points because Wyoming put up 47. That's insane. And that's absolutely the case with him, that defense has given him that stronger motivation, which was really, really cool. John Henry Daly talked about gaining more confidence in his game. I love that. You can see it out there too. And also said talked about the shift in mindset that led to a difference in the second half. I think Utah was a little bit more locked in there, and it showed. This team is locked in. Also appreciate all of you being locked on Utes with us right now. It's late. I just wanted to get one dad joke in. Okay, back to the comments. So send you your last couple questions. Probably start to wind this down here in a little bit. Appreciate all of you for joining us live, and can't wait to talk Texas Tech, Utah. Big noon kickoff this week. Going to be a blast. D-line is Daly and no one else. We also can't attack the middle of the field when throwing. Thoughts on if I'm tripping. Logan Fano was really good against UCLA. Yes, he didn't pop as much tonight, but I still think he's working his way back from whatever injury kept him out last week. I still think that's a really good 1-2 pass rush tandem. And then, hey, one of Cash Dillon, Paul Fitzgerald. Paul Fitzgerald got done against Cal Poly, but stepped in competition. Lance Holt's call, Paul Fitzgerald, Cash Dillon. Step up. Someone's going to have to. I think they're capable of doing it, especially on the interior. But right now, John Henry Daly and hopefully a healthy Logan Fano are Utah's pass rush there. And yeah, Devin Dampier has not completed a lot of throws over the middle of the field. I think that is a very good point when I think about that off the top of my head. He missed J.J. Buchanan over the middle of the field one time. He loves to throw deep to the outside. He just loves to throw outside in general, right? So I do think that's something that this Utah team needs to continue to hone in on, improve on. I think Devin Dampier right now has been one of the 10 most impressive quarterbacks in college football. I have him in top 10 in the Heisman right now. I said he's going to finish there on the year too. I don't think he's one of the 10 best pocket passers. Some of those balls over the middle are very hard to do, right? There's a higher margin for error, and it just guys streaking across the middle like that. It's harder to do that than, I threw a ball down the sideline and it landed out of bounds, but there's no negative repercussions for that. That's not the case for plays like that over the middle. So I think that is part of the reason. I like that observation, Parker Young. That's a good one. Scholes said, what are your thoughts on Chris Level, my good buddy Chris Level of Locked On Texas Tech, saying, I think we could walk into Rice-Eccles Stadium and thump Utah. I had no issue with what Chris said, especially if you guys watched the full video. He talked about how many questions Texas Tech still has too. He said the only team he really feels really good about in this conference right now is Iowa State, which I mostly agree with, but I just more and more that Kansas State win just looks worse and worse. So I still have questions about the Cyclones. I feel Utah's the best team in the Big 12 right now, but there's Utah, Tech, Iowa State. They're all up there. ASU will bounce back too, I feel like, and Baylor won't be far behind either. But I have no problem with him saying that because I do think a Texas team's really good. I think they're really talented. I could see a world where they walk in and win. It's going to be hard for me to say like, thump is in like maybe is it a 15, 20-point game? I don't really see that right now, but I'm not going to say it's impossible just for what a jump up in competition. It will also be for Utah, and we'll see how good this Tech team is. A top 3 transfer portal class. That's a lot of talent on that side of the ball. So I didn't have any issue with what Chris said. And looking forward to doing a crossover with him later this week too. We eked out the W, but we can't play either half like that next week. No, if we're to play like we did in the second half, we're going to be absolutely fine. But totally agree with it. Totally agree with that there. That Utah has to improve on the first half player. It's not going to be pretty against Texas Tech. You got to finish drives, but there are also just some things that Utah did offensively where I'm like, okay, Jason Beck continued to clean, okay, this is what Devin Dampier does. This is what, if you're going to give him the pass option, sometimes he's probably going to throw it. Like I would lean towards making him run it more and more. Also, how fun late was it for have Hunter Andrews running Wildcat and they just kept motioning Devin Dampier across like they were going to hand him off the ball. I just love how creative this offense is. It's a blast to watch each and every week. And I'm so thrilled that Jason Beck is our offensive coordinator because he just makes football fun. Johnny Bunting said, it's so frustrating to see Smith Snowden taking his wear and tear against vanilla opponents. So unnecessary. Fair, but also at the same time, there was a play later in the game. I think it was second half, maybe first half, where Utah threw like quick screen to him, or maybe it was just, he got on a sweep. And I thought he read the block wrong. I thought he should have gone to the outside, but he tried to cut it inside first, then bounce it outside. And I think he's just still working out he's really good. I mean, what he did against UCLA was impressive. He is so shifty. Utah's got to use him there. But he is still getting a learn and a feel. So much of his ability to make guys miss is just a natural ability. It's not like he's spent the past couple of years outside of the limited time he's gotten on punt and kick return, like working on and honing in those skills. So I do think a lot of that is him just needing to continue to learn and grow. So I do think I don't love that he's getting some of the wear and tear either, but I do think he needs those live game reps to continue to improve, and Utah needs him because he is one of their shiftiest guys. So I do want to continue to see Smith Snowden getting some run, and I think he's gonna, because Utah needs him. Utah needs him to continue to help them produce. How are you feeling overall, keeping it rolling about the receiving core as a whole thing? Feel like we haven't seen much from Mayweather. Ryan Davis seems to have a lot of chemistry with Dampier. He does. I love what Davis has continued to produce. He's just a quick slot receiver, but he can get open on the outside too. Strong route runner, good hands. Him and Devin Dampier look like they played college football together last year, and they did. And the chemistry is very evident there. Would I love to be feeling a little better about the receivers? Sure. But I feel great about Utah's tight end. I think Dalton Bentley is really good. Like what he's shown these 3 games, I just feel like he's going to produce. How about when Utah converted on 3rd and 20? They left Bentley wide open. He just lowered his shoulder and like leveled the Cowboy. That was sick. But Mayweather and Dampier are like right here. I think that connection is very close to happening. And Mayweather, let's not forget, did bring in a big pass in the first game. I will not be surprised at all if Tobias Mayweather makes a couple big plays against Cal, or even if he just makes one. Thought Larry Simmons getting the end zone was a positive sign for this Utah team. And we know Utah loves the short passing game with Smith Snowden and getting him open. The wide receiver core is not the strength of this Utah team, but it is. I've been pleasantly surprised with what they produced so far. Wish I felt like, oh my gosh, they're amazing. But especially down guys like Darren Zipper, I still think they've been solid. And I love that Larry Simmons and Dampier were able to connect on a tough play too. I feel like there's multiple guys, J.J. Buchanan rising up in the end zone. It's another tight end, right? But I feel good about that. I feel like there's a lot of pass catching options that are capable of making something happen for Utah. Wayshawn Parker in the pass game too, which which leaves me feeling fired up about that, right? Keep going. Merriweather has been frustrating, to be honest. Seems to not get full separation on his deep routes and not catching when he gets targets 50% of the time. Yeah, I mean, 4 targets, 1 catch. So there's a lot of truth to that. Let's not forget, like, part of the reason he wasn't great last year is injuries, but there have also been inconsistencies throughout his career. It's why he's on his 3rd team. Like, it's very rare you're on your 3rd team and everything went smooth. I like Tobias Merriweather. I think he's going to be really good for this team. He's going to continue to make big plays. And him and Dampier, like, down the sideline, were right there. I think Utah's close. Do not give up on him. I think Merriweather's continue to make it big with this team. But yeah, it is unfortunate, right, that as of right now, he still hasn't been able to get over the hump and have that massive game for Utah. But I'm just happy that a wide receiver has, and Ryan Davis has been really fun to watch so far too. Someone said, tell Chris that I think we can walk into Jones Stadium and level Texas Tech. Take that. I'm like, tell Chris you said that. I like that one. That's a good one too. Early score prediction for the Texas Tech game. I like that, Doc. That'll be a good one to end on too. Appreciate all you for coming in live here. Early score prediction. I know some of y'all get so mad at me, like before the UCLA game and some of these other ones. You're like, JT, you're so unrealistic and all these things. And literally the UCLA game, I was just like a touch. I think it was like what did I say? 36-17, and it being worst. I really do just try to call it like I see it. I understand that I am locked on Utes guy and I'm going to lean Utah. Like I can admit my bias, but I really do just try to call it like I see it, y'all. Anyway, so early score prediction for this one. I think it's a great game. I think big noon kickoff. It's going to be rewarded with a treat coming out to Salt Lake City. I think that atmosphere for the pregame show is going to be awesome. We got to make sure we show up Utah fans for that. I think the game atmosphere will be epic too. I think fans are going to be awake, rowdy, and ready to go. Talked about the team being amped up. I mean, the team being amped up. I'm going to be amped up. I think y'all are going to be amped up. This is a top 25 matchup. This is a Utah team. You want to get to Arlington. I think you got to take care of business at home. It's very hard to me to see Utah losing their first game in Big 12 play and then going on to make the Big 12 title game. Remember, even the year they did it, they lost 2 of their first 3 games of non-conference play back with their first year they won the Pac-12 title. Those were non-conference. They didn't count towards Pac-12 play. They lost the early one to Oregon State and then rattled off impressive wins. But I just don't like giving yourself that margin for error early on. I want a large margin. I don't like having a little margin for error the rest of the season. So I think Utah's going to be ready to roll. I think we're going to be fired up and ready. Top 25 matchup, big noon. Let's go. I wish it was Saturday already. I'm sitting here right now on Saturday night. I want next Saturday already. Early score predictions as we wind this one down. I'm going to go Utah 28, Texas Tech 27. I think we are in for a tremendous game, and I cannot wait to cover it all week long on Locked On Utes. Skulls said, I appreciate you, JT. I appreciate you, Skulls. And I appreciate all of you who joined us this evening. Locked On Utes post-game show. Wasn't sure if we're going to do one tonight, but there was so much to talk about from that game. We had to. We'll be back next week as well after the Tech game. That'll be a little later in the night. PNW Utes said Utah by 5. I hope so. Thank you, John Bunting, too. Appreciate all you guys. Go Utes. Can't wait for next week. I'm taking Utah against Tech. Y'all shouldn't be surprised if you listen to this show, but I do think Utah has the edge in that matchup. Why do I think they have the edge? Well, I'm going to tell you all week long on Locked On Utes. We'll be reacting to this game, getting you prepped for Texas Tech all week long on Locked On Utes. Thank you to you all, the best Utah fans in the world, for making Locked On Utes your first listen and view of the day. That's going to do it for our show, but we'll see you as soon as Monday. We're breaking down Utah, Texas Tech. Have a great night, everyone. Utah's 3-0. That offense is back. Life is good. See you this week. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.